3 years after their divorce, one text message changes everything. Elena thought she'd moved on. Sophia believed Barcelona would fill the void. But at 2 a.m., with trembling fingers, Sophia types 3 words that will shatter the walls they've both built. I miss you. What follows is a journey back to each other older, wiser, and finally ready to fight for the love they never stopped feeling. Because some hearts simply refuse to let go, no matter how hard you try. Elena's phone lit up the darkness of her Seattle bedroom at 2:47 a.m. She shouldn't have looked. She'd promised herself, promised Mia, promised her therapist that she was done checking her phone in the middle of the night, hoping for ghosts from her past. But her hand moved on its own muscle memory from 9 years of reaching for Sophia in the dark. I miss you. 3 words. Just 3 simple words that detonated like a bomb in her chest. Elena sat up, heart pounding, staring at the name she'd never been able to delete from her contacts. Sophia, her ex-wife. The woman she'd married at 26 in a ceremony overlooking the Columbia River, full of promise and naive certainty that love conquered all. They'd been wrong. Love hadn't conquered Sophia's career opportunities in Europe or Elena's architectural firm finally taking root in Seattle. Love hadn't survived the fights about whose dreams mattered more, whose sacrifices were bigger. Love had died slowly over 2 painful years of long-distance attempts and tearful video calls. Finally signing its death certificate at a lawyer's office on a gray Tuesday afternoon, that had been 3 years ago. 3 years of Elena rebuilding herself, brick by brick. New apartment, new routines, new attempts at dating that all felt hollow. 3 years of telling herself she was fine, she was moving on, she was better off. And now, 3 words that made it all a lie. Elena's thumbs hovered over the keyboard. What could she possibly say? That she missed Sophia too? That she'd never stopped? That every woman she dated since had been measured against a ghost and found wanting? Her phone screen dimmed, then went dark, leaving her alone in the silence with her racing heart. Sophia stood in her Barcelona gallery, surrounded by her success. Her paintings lined the walls bold, emotional pieces that critics called raw and vulnerably powerful. Tonight's opening had been perfect. Sales were strong, collectors interested. Her career finally everything she'd moved to Europe to achieve. So why did she feel so empty? She knew the answer. She'd known it when she'd sent that text in a moment of weakness. She'd known it every night she lay alone in her minimalist apartment, staring at the ceiling, wondering what Elena was doing. Success tasted like ash when you had no one to share it with. Brilliant show, Sophia, Marco, her assistant, said, appearing with champagne. Though you look miserable, I texted her. The words came out flat. Marco's expression shifted from congratulations to concern. And nothing. No response. Sophia took the champagne, drank it in one gulp. Maybe that's my answer. But she knew Elena. Silence didn't mean indifference. Silence meant Elena was feeling everything too and didn't know how to respond. They'd always been like that, too much emotion. Not enough words to contain it. Sophia had met Elena at a gallery not unlike this one, 9 years ago in Portland. They'd both reached for the same champagne glass, hands touching, eyes meeting. Elena had smiled, and Sophia had felt the ground shift beneath her feet. 6 months later, they were married, convinced they'd found forever. They'd had 5 good years before the cracks started showing. Sophia's art was taking off, galleries in Paris and Barcelona calling. Elena's sustainable architecture firm was finally gaining traction in Seattle. Both had worked so hard for their dreams. Neither wanted to give them up. Come with me, Sophia had begged. Stay with me, Elena had countered. Neither had bent. Pride, fear, stubbornness, whatever you called it had killed them. Now Sophia stood in the gallery she'd sacrificed everything for and wondered if she'd made the worst mistake of her life. Elena changed her outfit 7 times before settling on jeans and the blue sweater Sophia had always loved. 1 month had passed since that text, 1 month of messages that carefully circled around what they both really wanted to say. Finally, Sophia had asked, "Coffee?" Just coffee. Their coffee shop. The one where they'd had their first date, where Elena had nervously spilled latte on herself and Sophia had laughed that beautiful, uninhibited laugh. Elena arrived 20 minutes early, anxiety thrumming through her veins. Then Sophia walked in, and time stopped. She looked different, shorter hair, more sophisticated somehow. Barcelona had polished her, given her an edge that Portland Sophia hadn't had. But her eyes were the same warm brown that had always seen straight through Elena's defenses. "Hi," Sophia said softly, sliding into their old booth. "Hi." They stared at each other, then burst into nervous laughter. "This is weird," Elena admitted. "So weird." Sophia's smile was tentative. "You look beautiful. You too. Success suits you, does it?" Sophia's expression turned sad. "I turned down a permanent position in Barcelona. My contract ends in 3 months. Elena's heart stopped. "What are you going to do?" "That's why I'm here. Because for 3 years, I've tried to convince myself I made the right choice. That my career was worth losing you." Sophia reached across the table, her fingers hovering near Elena's hand. "But I can't do it anymore. I can't pretend I don't miss you every single day." "I got offered a position in New York 6 months ago," Elena blurted. "I turned it down because nowhere feels like home without you." Sophia's hand finally closed over Elena's, warm and familiar and perfect. "What are we doing?" "I think," Elena said carefully, "we're admitting we made a mistake." They talked until the coffee shop closed, then kept talking on a bench in Cary Park, watching the city lights sparkle below. 3 years of separate lives spilled out Sophia's loneliness in Barcelona despite her success. Elena's empty dates and emptier apartment. All the ways they'd tried to move on and failed. "We were so young," Elena said, shaking her head. 26 and 28, thinking we had it all figured out. Maybe we needed this time apart to grow up. Maybe. Sophia leaned into her, a gesture so natural it made Elena's chest ache. "But I'm done growing without you. We're 42 and 44 now. We've lived the life without each other, and it sucks." Elena laughed through sudden tears. "It really does. So what do we do?" Sophia asked. "Because I'm not making the same mistakes. I can't lose you again. We compromise. Really compromise this time." Elena turned to face her. "Maybe you keep a studio here part of the year, travel for shows when needed. Maybe I take on projects that aren't so demanding. Maybe we build something together that's actually ours. Maybe we don't rush," Sophia added. "Maybe we date properly this time. Relearn each other. I like that." Elena smiled. "Though I have to warn you, I'm going to want to kiss you. Soon." "How soon?" "Right now." When their lips met, it was like 3 years of grief and loneliness melting away. It wouldn't be easy, they both knew that. There would be hard conversations, real compromises, learning to put each other first. But as they sat overlooking the city, hands intertwined, Elena felt something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. "I love you," Sophia whispered. "I never stopped." "I love you too," Elena replied. "And this time, I'm not letting go." 6 months later, Elena and Sophia stood in the doorway of their new apartment. Not Elena's or Sophia's, but theirs. A space they'd chosen together halfway between the gallery and Elena's office. It wasn't perfect. There would be challenges ahead, compromises to navigate, old wounds to heal. But they were facing it together because some loves are too powerful to die. Some hearts simply refuse to let go, no matter the distance or time. And sometimes, if you're lucky enough to get a second chance, you fight like hell to make it work. Want more stories about second chances and enduring love? Follow for more mature lesbian romance that celebrates the complexity of real relationships. Because love isn't always easy, but it's always worth fighting for.